Hey everybody, thanks for stopping by. My name is Brian, this is my YouTube channel, and today I thought I would talk about what I keep in my motorcycle tank bag. Hopefully I'll have something in there that someone will find helpful or interesting, and if you keep things in your tank bag that you think are helpful, I'd love to hear about them, because chances are I probably don't have it in here. So anyway, I'm coming to you from Vashon Island, Washington, where it is a fantastically sunny day. I think it's supposed to hit 85 degrees today, which for us is pretty stellar. And I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to come out and try and do something a little different. I've done a lot of videos on riding around on Vashon, and so this time I thought I'll try and do something a little more helpful. So without further ado, let's get to it. This is my tank bag. It came from Amazon.com. It's nothing fancy. It is a Dracarys, and I bought it after my other tank bag, which was a little bit smaller, flew off my bike in Nevada in the middle of the night. So that's a story for another time, but I needed a tank bag, and so I bought this one, had it delivered to where I was staying at next. And they're very helpful, as probably most of you know. Let's get to it. So here's what I keep in here. In this top area, which I believe is made for either a cell phone or one of those solar-powered battery packs, I keep a regular battery pack. Well, first I keep a Gaiter, just to sit on top of the battery pack when it's in there to keep it kind of out of the sun. But I have a pack of these Gaiters. I ordered them back when COVID was much more of a factor than it is today. And I found it to be great. I saw somebody else wearing one. Pack of these on Amazon is like $8, $9, something like that. Might be a little more now. But they're fantastic. They cover your neck, keep bees from flying into you. If it's cold, it can be a little bit helpful. And I've got, the pack came with like 4 or 5, something like that, quite a few. I like them. I also have a fairly standard battery pack. This is nothing fancy. I think it was $25, $20, somewhere in that range. It's a 10,000 milliamp battery pack, 3.7 volt, 37 watts, 37 WH. I'm guessing that's watts, but I'm not positive about that. Anyway, got a couple of chargers that are just standard USB, so you can plug 2 things into it at the same time. It's got 2 different ways of charging it. I tend to use these smaller, older style USB charger just because I've got a couple of other things in here that also charge with that. One of the things that's not in my tank bag is a USB charger that I bought that is on the bike. It's just a cable, plugs into the battery, or screws into the battery. Again, maybe $20, $15, somewhere in that range. Gives you power, as long as you've got battery power, it gives you power for all kinds of things in an emergency. I don't use it a lot. I charge my phone with it on occasion if I don't have this with me. But I try and take this tank bag. If I'm just running around here on the island, this island's only 12 miles long, so there's not a great chance that I'm going to be super hosed or stranded. But those are good things to have. So moving on into, this bag didn't come with a waterproof cover, which was kind of a downer. They had one that did, but I think it was going to take longer to show up. So if I had to do it over again, ideally it would have a waterproof cover on it, but this one doesn't. But it does have a couple of pockets, which is nice. This is just a paper towel. It's always good to have a napkin or a paper towel or something like that around. Big lighter, small, works great. Always good to have a lighter. A USB rechargeable lighter, which my father gave to me. And this thing is awesome just because it's not going to run out. So it's good for lighting like the corner of a piece of paper. I haven't really tried it. You couldn't really start a fire with it just because of the spark. show you. I don't know if you can see that. It's more like an arc between the two things. It would get this napkin or this paper towel going for sure, and then from there, you know, I guess you're good to go, depending on your fire building skills. Finger squeegee. Cheap. People use them for skiing all the time. Put it over your glove. It works great to keep the rain off of the windshield on my helmet. I tried Rain-X for plastic. Didn't work very well, but I do enjoy having this just as a backup. So I keep one of these in here because I feel like most of the time when I go out, it ends up raining. Even if it's supposed to be an 85-degree sunny day, I've had it happen to where it has rained on me. It's not going to happen today. At least I don't think so. Knock on wood. I don't see any clouds in the sky. Otherwise, I keep my house keys in there. And that's kind of the end of that small little area. In the bigger compartment, which is the only other compartment that there is on this bag, I have paracord. I don't know how much, but, you know, a decent amount, at least 10 feet there. I also keep some paracord in my saddlebags on the bike, so it's just a good thing to have around. I have a tarp, I have paracord. If it does start pouring when I'm camping or something, I've got a way to cover my bike. I don't pack a bike cover. I don't have that kind of space. But I feel like a tarp has multiple uses. I once heard somebody say, I don't know if it was a YouTuber or where, I heard that everything you take on a bike with you for a motorcycle trip should have a couple of uses. So I try and keep that in mind when I pack things up. Tarp obviously has multiple uses, paracord, tons of uses. Lighter comes in handy for all kinds of things. Some of these are just essential. Battery pack's got kind of one function, but without it, it might be hosed. Speaking of things that have sort of generally one function, I keep a microfiber towel and some cleaner for my face shield. Just because, as I'm sure you know, if you've been on any rides that are longer than maybe 20 minutes, your face shield starts to get a little buggy. So that's always a good thing to have. USB charging cable. I try and keep the things that I have to charge using the same kind of cable, with the exception of my phone. It uses its own, you know, iPhone cable, so I've got one of those. The last time I went someplace, I went on a camping trip and I had this whole thing packed up out. My phone died. I use it for the map function quite a bit just because I don't want to think about where I'm going. But it died. And so I had to stop off at a gas station. Fortunately, at most gas stations, you can buy these for $6 or $7. And picked one up and I was back in business. So I keep that in here. That just lives in here now. This is like a microfiber towel that has one of these little please don't use for climbing type carabiners on it. And this has many uses. I can dry my face. I can set it up as a little placemat. I can clean myself with it. I can dry off the bike seat, and on and on and on. It's what, you know, like 12 by 18 or so, something like that. It's got a little clip so you can hang it up and it'll dry, which is awesome. And this one lives in my tank bag. I think I have a bigger one somewhere that's like, it's not actual towel size, but if you had to take a shower or something, you could dry yourself off with it. This, I mean, come on, it's a little small, actually. Poor monster. I think that's who made it. Guess what? I'm not going to hang on to that. Although I probably should, because in a pinch, I could use that to start a fire. Or at least try. I'm not claiming to be a fire building expert, that's for sure. What else? Hand sanitizer. Due to COVID, I put that in there, but it's just a good thing to have around in general, you know? It's always nice to have clean hands if you're going to eat something. Something extra. This is a pretty cheesy bungee cord, so I'm not even sure why it's in there, but figure I might need it at some point for something. I tend to use ROC straps, the ROC straps, and those work awesome. I have more confidence in those than I do in something like this, but I use these as backups. So usually if I load up my bike, I don't have a ton of trunk space. I have a couple of saddlebags that I put on it by Viking, but I think they're supposed to hold like 10 pounds a piece. So, you know, you don't have to put too much in them before they're pretty well done. I keep a first aid kit in there. I have a NOCO battery charger or jump starter that I keep in there that also has a light on it and will also charge things. So it's got multiple uses. I have generally several options for lighting. That NOCO thing, my phone. I keep in my tank bag a little USB rechargeable flashlight. This one is a Streamlight MicroStream. I think this one might have been about $30. But it's awesome, and it's super small. You can either clip it to your belt, or what I like about this is, give me a second here, you can clip it to your hat. And then while you're working on your motorcycle, while you're setting up your tent, while you're doing whatever, you've got some light, and you don't have to carry a separate headlamp. So, cool thing to have. This is a cruise control throttle lock, and I used it not much when I went on a long trip. I prefer to have my hand on there, you know. I feel like I have more control instantaneously. This doesn't really prevent that, but if you have it and you're going at a decent clip, it'll start to kind of slide and you'll slow down slowly. So I wouldn't say it's the greatest thing in the world, but if your wrist is really killing you, at least it's an option. The longest I spent on my bike is 17 hours. And that was a long, long day. I didn't plan on spending 17 hours on it, but that's what ended up happening. And even then, I don't know that I used this, but I had it. It was a good option to have. And again, this thing was like maybe $15, something like that. My parents are always asking for birthday ideas or Christmas ideas, and so these are great things that I feel like I can put on the list. I think this was given to me as a gift because I put it on a list, but you know, it's cheap, so I don't feel like I'm asking for the moon. It's inexpensive stuff that is handy. Little thing of Altoids. I haven't even opened this yet. I might open it in just a few minutes, to be honest with you. But you know, you never know when your breath might be kind of ripe, and it's good to have some gum or Altoids or something like that. Plus, if you need to, you can dump them out and use the tin for something. I'm not sure what you'd use it for, but you could. I have exactly one moist towelette in here. Feels like it's still moist. I usually have a couple of buddy wipes in here. I'm out. I take stuff out over the winter, and then sometimes stuff just gets used around the house, you know. But on my long trip, I took a bunch of those, and they were very helpful. You know, especially if you don't have places where you can shower. You don't have to just use it on your ass. You can, you know, wipe down your armpits or your neck or whatever you feel like doing to help freshen yourself up a little bit. Because there were a few days in there where I was camping and showering just wasn't really much of an option, which is good. I like being at camping places where showering is not much of an option, because otherwise you're surrounded by RVs and kids and other things, which are great. I don't mind all that stuff. I just don't want it all the time. I like to watch people doing these BDR routes where it's just them and themselves, although I do feel like I'd be a little bit concerned about something eating me out there. I have bear spray somewhere around my house that I took on my long trip because I knew I was going some places where it just might be helpful. I didn't have to use it. I accidentally set it off in my parents' garage briefly, so it works, I can tell you that. At least on humans. A pen, it's always good to have a pen, you know? So I have one. a shitty one, but I keep one in here just in case. This is a fantastic little gizmo that was, again, around 10 bucks. It's a pad for your kickstand for any time that you are off-roading it. If you're in a muddy area, well, it couldn't be too muddy, but you know, if it's been raining, if you're on gravel, if you're in a field, anywhere where you feel like the bike might sink slowly, this will help a little bit. It won't keep it from sinking necessarily, but it'll, you know, at least help. You know, it's not going to sink it fast. Or if it would sink, potentially, this will stop. And I used it. I didn't know if I would. I'm not much of an off-roader with my, you know, my bike is a Honda Shadow, so it's not really made for going off-road. But on my long trip, I spent a surprising amount of time off-road. Some of it lost, and some of it where I was going to camping places and didn't realize exactly how far off the beaten path they were. It was cool. I managed it, but it was also kind of sink or swim at that time, where I was like, well, let's see what happens. Just go slow and cross your fingers. I keep a couple of Starbucks instant coffees in here. Usually if I'm going on a trip, I'll have water, and I've got a little propane, you know, super small burn source, kind of like a jet boil, but a little bit smaller and a lot cheaper, that I keep wrapped up in some pots and pans with the canister. The whole thing, it doesn't take up a lot of room. And I have like a collapsible rubber cup, which I don't love, but it does get real small, and it is very lightweight, and it works. So it's not my tank bag, so it's a little off the subject, but that's why I have Starbucks in there. Plus these things, you know, you just throw the thing in the fire when you're done, and you have no garbage, no mess. You're good. I don't like to carry a ton of stuff out with me if I can avoid it. I like to plan to where I'm not going to have a lot of extra stuff around. Sunblock. I have pretty sun damaged skin, so it's good to have sunblock. This is probably expired. I don't know where even expires in 6 of 22, so it's just expiring. I'll probably use it for this summer. Hopefully it'll last. Hopefully they were conservative in their estimate of its lifespan. This is multi-tool. I don't know why I keep it in this. I guess this came with something else, and so I just threw it in there. But this is the multi-tool. I got this at a thrift store. It probably was $5 or $6, and it is a Winchester, I think, but it's got everything that I need. I have a Leatherman that I also sometimes take with me. This is a little heavier, so I think when I went on a long trip, I took the Leatherman and not this, but I don't mind keeping this around in case it gets stolen, dropped, lost, whatever. It wasn't expensive, and it works just fine, you know. And plus, I kind of like the spring-loaded pliers. I think they're a little bit bigger than Leatherman pliers as well. I don't have to use it that often, I'm happy to report, but if I did need to, I've got some options. I also have on my bike, I've got a little bag on the front, forks, that carries the tools that I might need. And anytime I do work on the bike, I try and use that bag to do the work, so that I'll know, okay, I've got everything that I need in terms of the nuts and bolts that are on this bike to be able to do things that might come up. You know, I've got a small ratchet with the correct size sockets and an extender, and I've got some wire should I need to rewire something. You know, not a ton. I've got a little light in there, a pocket knife, some other things that you just might, some electrical tape, screwdriver that, you know, you can put the various tips in, including sockets, because I added the adapter. A lot of that stuff I found at thrift stores. I mean, I couldn't tell you how many Craftsman, you know, socket holding screwdriver pieces I've got. You know, those, the black handle. I don't think they make them anymore, but they're awesome. So anytime I come across one of those and it's a couple bucks, I pick it up just because it's handy to have them around. So I have 2 motorcycles. I have 1 bag for each. Try and work on the motorcycles with what is in those bags so that when I take either one of them off on a trip, I just throw that bag on the bike and I know that I've got most of what I need. It's not going to get me out of every jam, but it certainly will potentially help me out. All right, let's get back to it. There's not much left in here. Bandana, awesome. Just a good thing to have around. You know, it's insanely hot, get it wet, throw it on your neck. If it's insanely cold, throw it around the front and help cool yourself or keep yourself warm. Yeah, a lot of different uses for a bandana. Carry stuff with it, cover stuff up with it, so on and so forth. This bag came with a strap to turn it into like a man purse. And so I have it on in the bag itself. Generally, I don't keep this around. I think I saw it before I went camping last time, and I was like, oh, it is handy if you want to do that. But usually it's so buried in here that I don't end up needing it or using it. I don't remember if I said, this is my second take on this video because the first time I realized I didn't record anything, and it was about the same length, and I probably did a better job. But I used to have a smaller tank bag, and it flew off my bike in the middle of the night in Nevada on the highway, and most of what was in it was scattered all over the place, including my flashlight. So I used my phone, backtracked, and had to find all my stuff. But the tank bag itself was destroyed, and so this was my replacement. And on this, I now have a little clip. I also have a short piece of paracord that I tie between the handlebar and this just to help me out. Not long, I mean, we're talking like 6 inches or so. Just so that if things start to come loose, I can have a second to realize that and try and slap it down with my hand and keep going or pull over to the side of the road or whatever. Because when the smaller one went flying off, I didn't even realize what had happened. It happened so fast. Fortunately, I got most of the stuff back, not all of it. Some of it was just destroyed. I had 2 of these. This is all filmed on an ACESSO Brave 6 Plus camera. I have 2 of them. One of them now doesn't work because it was in the tank bag that flew off. And so it still turns on, but it doesn't record and so on. Every once in a while I think, oh, I think it's working now. Not working. I bought ACESSOs because they were inexpensive, and I didn't even know if I was going to like doing this. But I wanted to keep track of my very long trip, mostly for me to look back and remember. That was the longest trip I've taken, car, truck, motorcycle, or otherwise. And so I kind of wanted a record, and I wanted to learn how to do it. The one thing that I found frustrating was that I felt like I missed a lot of cool stuff, you know? Things that I wanted to record, I either had hit the button incorrectly and wasn't recording, or I just wasn't even set up to do it at all at the moment, or the battery was dead, or my memory card was full. There are a lot of things to factor in. You know, I got lost in Nevada for like 100 miles, and I have no record of that. I didn't record any of it. Most of it was in the dark, so I couldn't have recorded a lot, but it would have been a cool thing to kind of document, just because, I mean, we're talking lost, like no cell service, dirt road, no signs of life at all. And it was a little bit concerning, but it was also a cool adventure, which is one of the things I love about motorcycles. Pretty much anything you do on them ends up being an adventure. I've run out of gas a couple times. I've dropped the bike in the middle of the night, facing snow in the mountains, trying to turn around and not been able to get it started again for a second. I've, like I said, have been lost. I dropped my bike when when the tank bag flew off. I pulled over to the side of the road, and then as I was trying to walk it backwards, it was pretty loaded down with stuff. I was gone for like 3 weeks, so. But anyway, it toppled over. I've never done any real damage to it. I'm happy to report, knock on wood, but I have had some things where I'm like, yeah, well, this is happening, so let's deal with this now. Anyway, that's what I keep in my tank bag. Hopefully you found something useful or interesting in there. If not, you know, oh well. At least I talked it through and I can think about the stuff that's in there. But if you think of things that you keep in your tank bag that maybe I should know about, I'd love to hear about it. So you can either put it down in the comments or you can direct me to your channel and I'll go and check it out. I just like talking about motorcycle stuff and motorcycle adventures. So I appreciate you stopping by. Thanks a lot. And ride on, all right? Take it easy. One last thing I forgot to mention is this guy. These are great. I don't remember the name of the company. I'll put it down in the description. But what it is a claw that clips onto your helmet and it holds your GoPro, a Picasso in my case, whatever you got. And they work great. It's got a good, strong grip on it. And then the front just, you know, ties into your camera. So it's easy on, easy off. You don't have to worry about a whole setup. I don't have a microphone with my setup, so anyway, these are cool. And like I said, I will figure out what the name of this thing is and put it down in the links. I learned about this from a professional YouTuber whose name is Sterling Noreen, N-O-R-E-N. First name Sterling, S-T-E-R-L-I-N-G, N-O-R-E-N. And he has a channel called the Motorcycle Adventures, maybe. Anyway, if you search his name, it'll come up, and there's a lot of great content. It's a lot of off-road, like BDR type riding. And it's down in, he has a motel called the Jonquil Motel, Jonquil, which is sort of a motorcycle-themed motel in a place called Bisbee, Arizona. If you ever get a chance to check it out down there, I would highly recommend it because it's awesome. And anyway, I learned a lot about his content, or about moto camping from the content that he puts up. It's extremely helpful, and it's always very well done, and just worth watching, in my opinion. I love throwing those things on and just checking out what's going on, and it's updated pretty regularly. Anyway, I just wanted to add that in too. Oh, and here's my helmet setup, which is the Cardo PACKTALK Black. Can you see it? Might be kind of dark. I like that thing. I have not used it for motorcycle to motorcycle communications, but I do listen to a lot of music on it, and I have played, you know, my maps through there so that I know where I'm going and I can listen to that. The battery seems to last a long, long time. It charges the same way as my flashlight and lighter, so it uses the same kind of cord. And like I said, I've been very pleased with it. It works perfect for phone calls, and the speakers inside, I think I upgraded the speakers. I don't remember which ones came with this, but I got larger speakers. They're still not, you know, stellar, but they sound pretty good. And my helmet is a Scorpion. I forget exactly which one it is, but I'll put a link. This particular one is the kind that you can push up. I also have one at home that's a little bit safer, also by Scorpion, which doesn't have the push-up face style. So either way, I like this one because it's got you know, the visor which comes down, and it's pretty comfortable. So, and they're highly rated. They're not expensive for sure, and as far as motorcycle helmets go, but I think that these get pretty good marks for what they are. And so I've got a couple of them, and I got one for my daughter, who is 12 and currently doesn't want a whole lot to do with motorcycles, but you know, I'm hopeful and ever the optimist. So she has a little communication device in a helmet, and one of these days we're going to get out there and go on an adventure. So there you go. All right, take care.